Hey guys, it's your boy Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and we've hit March, y'all. And if you can see in front of me right now, my strawberry plants that survived my plan for the winter are telling me now we're ready to grow. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cleaning up this strawberry plant tier, and then we're gonna stack those, and then we're also gonna see what else we can get into, especially when it comes to the GreenStalk. So buckle in, because if you have strawberries that are also in the GreenStalk and this is the second year that you had them in there, this is going to be especially helpful for you. Let's go ahead and start trimming these up. I've already done some of them, and I'll show some shots of the other ones, as well as when we get done, we're gonna, look at the entire stack as it is right now. So before I do any kind of fertilizing, you've got to go ahead and take care of this, the tray, getting that out of there. And then I just go ahead and just get rid of all the dead foliage. I've got a container down here that I'm putting all this in, because if you have your strawberry plants and they've been in their pots over winter, what you're likely going to see is gray types of mold, and you really don't want that on your plants. I've had times before where I've not taken care of that soon enough, and then the first sets of berries that I got were just subpar, or they were just molded and rotted before they even got ripe. So I like to do this. Let's go ahead and get all these little guys taken care of. Now this time of year you don't really have to worry about, if you accidentally cut something that's newly green, like these shoots or something like that. They should have enough reserve energy that if you accidentally cut something you don't mean to, it should be able to, recuperate and put out new leaves. So we're going to try our best not to cut anything that we don't necessarily want to. Now I've got some of these darker green leaves, and while they're still alive, you can tell because they're not brittle and rough, but those didn't grow in the best conditions because they were still inside, and they're probably just going to die off anyways. And we've got enough of these green shoots coming out that tells me it's happy the way it is, and it should be able to handle cutting off stuff that's even partially dark green, because we just want these plants to be as healthy as they can be. But just be careful. You can even, some of it's so rotten you can just pull it off like that without cutting it, and that's my preferred method. See, was able to do that there again, because that again ensures that we're not cutting anything that we want to grow. Now see, like this, you can sort of kind of see some of the white mold right there. That's exactly the stuff we want to get off. Now, yes, this might look like we're going back to bare roots, and it kind of is, but you have a leg up because you're not having to wait for those roots to come in the mail, and they're already in soil that they've lived in previously. So these guys are going to take off quick, like they already starting to, as is. This entire tier are Charlotte strawberries. These were bought from, I think I bought these ones from Gurney's. I have a few other varieties. We've got some AC Wendy's, Mara de Blois, Seascapes, and Ozark Beauties. Now, some of these that are in the same tiers that they were in last year, I know exactly what they are. But ones that I've cut off and planted in for plants that either A, just didn't do good over last year, or just didn't have enough time because they were runners. Some of those I might have lost track of. So when I start putting in other pots or potted plants that I had started from runners last fall and grew on the inside over winter, A lot of those, I think I know what they are, but I'm not going to be too down in the dumps if for some reason they don't turn out to be exactly what I think they are. Now, see, this one right here, there's not a whole lot of upper growth like all of these, but right here at the soil surface, I can see light green coming up from the roots, which you can't really see. I will give you guys a shot of it here in a minute, but that tells me that I can still go ahead and cut off these because that plant's still alive. And actually, if you want to know the truth, I think it's a little bit, the crown's a little bit far buried in there. So we're going to undo that crown a bit. That's the thing you don't want to have happen, is your crown to get buried, because then it can rot and die. But for some reason, this one did not get the memo. All we're doing is, like I said, clearing out around it to ensure that that stays a healthy crown. Surprisingly, this doesn't look too bad. If you can get on top of it before stuff actually starts dying off, you'll be okay. It's just something you learn from experience. But even when you have the experience, things just happen. But we're okay. That should be a healthy plant. Oh yeah, we've got even more sprouts coming up, so we should be good. I'm gonna leave that one right there, even though I don't think it's gonna live, but it'll be okay. So let's even that stuff out. Okay, now that we've got this tier cleared out of all the dead branches and leaves, now it's time to fertilize, because again, these have been in the soil that they were in since the fall, since the fall, and have sat in these containers over winter, so they're going to need some nutrition. So that's what we're going to do. My nutrition that I give to them is typically worm castings, a little bit of a soil acidifier just to make sure that the acidity of the potting soil here is right for them, and of course some granular fertilizer. So what I usually do first is put down my fertilizers, and then I put my worm castings on top just to make sure that they have the microbes and stuff to help break it down. Alright, so let's go ahead. We're going to go liberally with this. And we're not doing it on the plant itself. I'm doing it basically where the dish is going to be for the water. Alright, this should be enough right now. And we'll do one more handful. Alright. So there's that. And this granular fertilizer here is a 3-3-3, so it's balanced. It's nothing too heavy. And we're going to be giving this a dose of some liquid fertilizer too. And that's just to help it now. Make sure they have the nitrogen they need, versus the granular helping out over the long term. Alright, so we've got our soil acidifier in there. And lastly, we'll have our castings. We're doing a generous helping of castings, which is why I spend so much time with my worm bins and getting them, you know, prepared and sifted and getting all the castings out and ready to go beforehand, so that when it comes times like this, I'm ready to go. Alright, we've got all that scratched in for the most part. And the last thing we'll have to do is water. But I'm going to bring you in and show you these crowns real quick. So here is the pot, the container. Well, I guess you could call it a pot. But like I said, this is the one that I said was a little bit below. And it looks like it's going to be okay. It's not perfect, but as long as it doesn't die, that's the important part. And like I said, I've already mixed in all of the fertilizer, castings, and soil acidifier that I put on here. So all we really have to do now is water this in, and when I do that, I'm going to use my liquid fertilizer which I will explain and show to you what I use and why I use it when I come to that. Now I wanted to show you guys how I go ahead and refresh a tier in my GreenStalk that doesn't have plants already in it. So this here was obviously soil from last year. I've already pulled out all the dead plants out of it, and I've gone ahead and took some of the soil out and put it in a container on the side just for the time being, because once I get done amending this, we're going to go ahead and plant some of the plants that I had from this past fall. So that's going to be what's going into here now. So let's go ahead. It's a lot like the same that I did already for the other plants, but I have the addition of compost too. Those other containers already had a good amount of compost in them, and there was no real reason to go ahead and throw some more in there, because I would have had to dig them out or dig out the soil, and the last thing I want to do is disturb the plants that are in there. So what I'm going to do first is a generous helping of the organic granular. Just a little bit more. Then I'm going to throw in some bone meal. Next, we're going to go with the soil acidifier once I get this container open. And then finally, oh no, not finally, we've got some worm castings. And you'd be surprised, with just refreshing all of my GreenStalk tiers for the strawberries so far, I've already gone through this entire bag. And these are mine that I just rebag, because this is actually a nice bag to hold them in. But yeah, I've got that much left, and the whole thing was full when I got started. And then we're going to add the compost. And this was last year's compost. One more. There we go. And then we're going to mix. Oops, try not to get down the hole, because you're just wasting it then. Alright, so we've got that in there. So what I'm going to do now is make a pocket for the strawberries. I'm going to go ahead and add some more worm castings to the hole. Then we're going to take the plant, pop it out. Come on. There it goes. Yeah, see, this really needed to come out. It started to get a little bit of mold down there, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fan those roots out a little bit. I did sit it outside. We had some storms come through, just because I wanted this to be well hydrated before I did this. And then we're going to backfill, and we're not really worried about getting the soil exactly perfect to the top just yet, because I'm going to use some of the soil that I pulled out earlier and hit it with some more compost and a little bit of worm castings, and then we'll be topping it off and putting it on top of the other tier. Let me show you one more that I'm going to put in, and then after that I will just go ahead and skip it to when we're doing the tiers and how I water in everything in the spring. Alright, so we got the whole worm castings. Another strawberry plant. Yeah, it's a good thing that we're getting these out of here today. It's a very, very good thing we're getting these out of here. I mean, some of these, it could be mycorrhiza on the roots, potentially, but since I don't know that for a fact, that's the only thing that gets me a little concerned. And there you go, Bob's your uncle. Done. Alright, so I'll bring you guys back when we go ahead and stack this up. We're only going to do 6 tiers because I haven't decided what I want to put on the very top tier of this leaf system. I just knew that I wanted to get all of these out of the original GreenStalk because I have so many plans for that. But alright, I'll see you guys here in a minute. So now, before I show you guys the GreenStalk, I just wanted to show you what I like to use as a both starter to get those plants the nitrogen that they need to really start waking up, but as well as my liquid fertilizer of choice. It's AgroThrive. In this case, we're only going to be using their general purpose, but it's also a organic liquid fertilizer. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew, and I was being transparent. I am an affiliate of AgroThrive. In every single one of my videos, you will find a coupon code or a link for a discount on AgroThrive if you go ahead and purchase through that. But regardless of that, in the spring, this is what you need. A general purpose that's high nitrogen. And there's also a fruit and flower formula that AgroThrive has, but we won't be using that until we start to actually see flowers and fruits. For me, in this 2-gallon water container, I can pretty much set in all those plants and everything will grow nicely. The roots for the plants that I just put in will get watered in and they'll actually get a feeding, and we should see those plants start to bounce back and start flowering a lot sooner if I hadn't used this fertilizer. So again, I think it's awesome. It's organic, it's liquid, and best off, I've got a code and link down in the description. Here's the GreenStalk now. These are the plants that I just put in. And I like to go ahead and fill the soil all the way up to the rim, just because I know it's going to settle. Some of these other ones that aren't quite up to the rim, those were from last year, and I'm not really going to throw any more soil into those, just because I don't want to cover up the crown. So all there's left to do is to water in, and I was going to do it up here at the top, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to do the pockets and see what goes from there. I might do the very top one just a little bit, not to go past that little hole that's there, but just to let it trickle down to these ones here, because it's supposed to rain again and I'm not trying to overly saturate these any more than I have to. So let's go ahead and do that. So guys, that's the GreenStalk planted with the strawberries, and that's my strawberry tower. So D at Rutilations, I got you. I like what you did, and mine's is coming too. If you guys have any other plants in your GreenStalk, or if you're planning on putting plants in your GreenStalk, I hope that my little walkthrough right now of how I do it helps you out. If you're new to GreenStalks, I suggest buying a good base potting soil. I typically make my own, but there are a lot of good ones out there, and there's other ones that you just really don't want to use because they just don't work well in a GreenStalk. But there's a lot of information out there, so I suggest looking at a couple of channels that do focus on GreenStalks, or you can just look at my advanced soil recipe, and that's exactly what I put into mine. Other than that, I hope you guys are taking care of your gardens in this nice spell of weather that we have, because it's only temporary. This is the beginning of March, and that means it's volatile. They could be 70s like today, and then the next day down in the 30s. So get done what you can, get outside, because we've been cooped inside for too long over this winter. From here in Indianapolis, Indiana, I'm your boy, Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil. And I'm out of here, guys. See you later.